So, Pokemon Legends ZA recently released about 2 months ago, and the game's been quite controversial within communities. However, one of the key points that people like to focus on is Team MZ, and they have been slandered to hell and back. And I'm not taking this. These are my goats. So I'm not standing for the slander. So I've put together this lovely presentation for you all in defense of Team MC, and why they're not even close to the worst rival group or individual rivals in the series. Part 1. Urbane and Tawny, who will be collectively referred to as Urbane because it's easier to say that. And are they frauds? Well, let's start with the allegations, and why do people hate these objectively amazing characters? Well, first off, it's the Rust Syndicate subplot. People think they stole the spotlight at the climax of the story, their perceived arrogance, being over-the-top flirty, and potential frauds about being the strongest Mega Evolution user. But let's start with the Rust Syndicate subplot. So, they borrowed money from a shady business. We all know the Rust Syndicate is kind of shady. But did they know that the Rust Syndicate was a shady business? We need to think about this. Let's not forget that Corbeau ended up paying their debt fully after the player did only a few jobs for him. It's likely that they heard the leader of the Syndicate had a good heart, and so they trusted to borrow money from them. Plus, there's the issue of why they borrowed the money. It's that they wanted to film a professional ad for Hotel Z to bring in more customers, an objectively good-hearted act to try and repay AZ for all that he did for them. On top of this, the best part about this subplot is that it shows that the characters are allowed to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and this arc only serves to humanize and add depth to their character. Part 2, Stealing the Spotlight. So, people claim that they stole the player's spotlight at the climax of the main story, ascending Prison Tower with Mega Floette no matter the battle outcome. However, this proves their intelligence and their resolve to do what will help the city the most, no matter what was promised before the battle. Urbane knows that only the player can awaken Mega Zygarde's power, meanwhile they can team up with Mega Floette due to their bond with her. So even though the player wins the battle at the climax, they know that it's better if the player finds Zygarde while they go with Floette, as if the player had gone with Floette, Zygarde would not have been able to Mega Evolve and stop Orange's Light of Ruin. Perceived arrogance. Many people seem to think that Urbane are arrogant / overly self-confident, mostly stemming from their constant mentioning of being my usual helpful self. And while this may come off as somewhat insistent, it's likely that they're exaggerating themselves. If we apply social logic and what people would normally do in social situations, we can deduce that they probably spend their day outside like any usual person, and step in to help others when they see they can, not actively looking around for people to help who might not even need it. They're not being annoying, they're just being a good person. Over-the-top flirtiness. Many people seem to think that Urbane are overly flirty with the player character. They put their number in our phone quite early and knock on our door at the middle of the night. However, putting their numbers in the player's phone is often a very common action in the games with some sort of phone system. Our best example of this would be the Gen 2 games, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver, which prove that giving someone one's number doesn't indicate any sort of attraction, as most trainers you fight will request for your phone number after the battle and ring you up at random points. As for the door, this can simply be chalked up to what it is, showing the player the Prison Tower. One could argue that this could be done in the morning, but come on, it looks better at night and you know it. It's like watching fireworks in the day, come on. Of course you're free to ship whoever you like, but when this game features such overt, obvious subtext, quote-unquote, between Gwyn and Canary, if they really wanted to imply a romance, they would have been way more obvious. The actions are simply platonic, or at least they canonically are. And finally, are they frauds about being the strongest Mega Evolution user? Many have come to the belief that Urbane are not one of the strongest Mega Evolution users. However, this is false. It's established that only an incredibly strong wielder can bond with Mega Floette, which already proves that they are in fact very strong in universe. On top of this, as of the Mega Dimension DLC, they are the strongest NPC trainer in the entire series, boasting an entire team of level 100 Pokemon trouncing even Red in levels. Plus, 4 out of the 6 Pokemon in their team are capable of Mega Evolution, and thanks to the battle mechanics in ZA where multiple Pokemon can Mega Evolve in one battle, Sulfurex. Considering their bond with Mega Floette, their levels, and the extent to which they harness the power of Mega Evolution, it's easily proven that they are, in fact, the strongest trainer in the series, and hence the strongest non-player Mega Evolution user. So, excluding all our main characters, Caleb, Serena, who else uses Mega Evolution? Brendan and May and Oras, Harmony and Paxton, obviously, and Elio and Celine in Gen 7. Excluding all those, because they're player characters, obviously, they are the strongest Mega Evolution user. In short, nah, they'd win. Part 2, Leader, and is she that pushy? So, the allegations against Leader. The main point of concern for Leader deniers is that she seems to have an overly pushy personality, and these can be chalked up to two main points of argument, which are her behaviour towards Naveen and her refusal to evolve her Staryu. So, Leader's behaviour towards Naveen. There's a scene early in the game in which Leader proposes a battle between Naveen and the player, with the stakes being that if Naveen loses, he has to tell them about his backstory. Many people use this as a primary example of her pushy, disrespectful behaviour, claiming it as an invasion of Naveen's privacy. However, there's nothing forcing Naveen to accept this proposal. Leader doesn't challenge him to a battle herself, only proposing a battle between him and the player. It may be to her disappointment, but he is well within his rights to refuse. It was most likely an attempt to break the ice by Leader between Naveen and the player, as they'd still only recently met. And Leader's refusal to evolve Staryu. So Leader's partner Pokemon is a Staryu, which she does not evolve until shockingly late into the game. It's around mission 34 out of 39, I think. As compared to Naveen, who evolves his Scraggy at about the halfway mark. Now, it could be seen that Leader's refusal to evolve Staryu could be her pushing to keep it small and cute, even if it may want to evolve. However, it's implied that Leader is quite poor, as she recounts worrying about how to pay rent for her dorm, so it's likely that she just can't afford a Water Stone. This is supported by the fact that she evolves it immediately after Philippe gives her one. The above text refused to be size 28, which is why it's smaller than everything else. Plus, who could hate this face? She's so adorable. Come on, guys. She's the best member of Team MZ. Part 3, Naveen, and is he a simp? Now, the allegations. The main points that cause people to take a negative stance of Naveen are his obsession with Kanari, the hat, trademark, and, by proxy, Mega Scrafty. And we'll start with Kanari. About halfway through the game, the player is told about Kanari, a super popular streamer in Lumiose who Naveen is a massive fan of. He watches her streams during strategy meetings and displays immense excitement when she responds to his chat message. Many people have called this tier 3 sub, parasocial, or incel behaviour, however this is simply not true. Naveen is actually the complete opposite of parasocial. He attempts to distance himself from both her and her fan club Dynamo as much as possible, outwardly expressing dislike for Dynamo. Naveen understands and respects the streamer-viewer dynamic, and even when he finally does meet Kanari face-to-face in the Mega Dimension DLC, he simply requests if she would be interested for him to make an outfit for her, which he has previously expressed as his goal as a fashion designer. Here we can see there's a YouTube thumbnail calling Naveen the Kanari simp, which we have just proven is not true. Now, Naveen's fashion sense and the hat trademark. So, when the designs of Paxton and Harmony, the player characters, were revealed, many fans expressed open dislike towards the hats they were given. Paxton's is black with a grey stripe, and Harmony's is white with a red stripe. Take a look at those there. In-game, it's revealed that Naveen is the one who designed the hats, immediately sparking resentment for him and those who dislike them. However, this can be balanced by the fact that Naveen also designed the green Team MZ jackets, which are objectively fly as hell. And I think the hats look pretty good, especially Harmony's. The white and red looks great on her. I can kind of understand some of the criticism for Paxton's hat, though. I've heard it called, makes him look a bit slimy, like a slimy street magician. And finally, Naveen's association to Mega Scrafty. So, Naveen's ace in the game is Scrafty, which is given a Mega Evolution. The design shows Scrafty shedding its skin and wearing it like a jacket. However, some people have drawn references to the attire of problematic groups of people. There's Mega Scrafty for reference. So, the design is actually rather clever, as it ties into Naveen's design. Naveen wears a white jacket, of which Mega Scrafty's shed skin is clearly referencing. The two form an almost symbiotic relationship that may even leave Mega Scrafty's design feeling rather empty once Naveen is absent from the series. On top of that, design makes it look generally more thuggish, tying into Scrafty's dark typing. It makes me think of a typical London roadman. So, part 4, the team as a whole. Why does Team MZ feel so human? One of the key reasons to Team MZ's success as a rival group is how human they feel, and this is because the members are allowed to have flaws. Even though Urbane may not have known the Rust Syndicate was shady, they admit they didn't fully read the contract. Leader can be considered kind of pushy, even if she was only trying to break the ice, and Naveen can be secretive about things. All of these are character flaws, and it's great that every member has one. Pokemon rivals have so often been one-dimensional characters that allowing Team MZ to make mistakes and be human is enough to make them one of, if not the best group of rivals. And Team MZ's growth and development. On top of the characters themselves being some of the best in the series, the team shrinks and grows as characters come and go, making it feel all the more alive. The dynamic of the team first changes at the end of the main story with AZ's death. Acting as a mentor and parent figure for the members, his absence left a large hole in the team that can be felt every time the player returns to Hotel Z in the postgame. At the beginning of the Mega Dimension DLC, Team MZ sees its first new member since the player, Ansha, accompanied by Hooper. The presence of this frankly adorable child, combined with the Mischief Pokemon, helped to bring some more energy to the team and make it feel more alive again. Shortly afterwards, the Shalor City gym leader Karina joins the team as well. As a figure of authority and the Mega Evolution successor, Karina acts as a secondary mentor-like figure to them, helping to return some of the comfort and stability that was lost with AZ. And finally, the team takes on a Gulpin that wandered into Hotel Z from Hyperspace Lumias. Aside from making Hotel Z feel more homely by acting as a sort of pet, the presence of Gulpin sets a precedent that other Pokemon may be accepted into the team, creating the idea that no matter how many people have to leave, there will always be residents waiting at Hotel Z. And finally, Part 5, Team MZ in comparison to past rivals. So, early rivals. There's not really much to say about the early rivals, such as Blue, Silver, Wally, and Barry. They're all fairly one-dimensional characters whose goals mostly boil down to beat the player and become the champion. Silver's relationship to Giovanni and Wally's implied impending death in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire serve to deepen their characters, but they are overall still mostly uninteresting within their games. As for Gens 5 through 7, Generation 5 is when they finally start to see rivals develop as characters, even if it's not entirely all of them. Cheren becomes a gym leader in Black 2 and White 2, Hal wants to become a kahuna like his grandfather, and N, if you count him, is just one of the best Pokemon characters ever written. Bonus shout out to Hop. I know I didn't cover Gen 8 in here, but Hop's arc is great, and he's a well-written character. As for the X and Y rival group, however, they are famously bland. Each character, despite having unique motivations and goals, is unbearably flat and barely even shows up. Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor are easily some of the most forgettable characters in the Pokemon main series without debate, and Team MZ serves to make up for them. But the main point here is Team MZ in comparison to Zero Squad. The rivals in Scarlet and Violet, Nimona, Arven, and Penny are, in my opinion, some of the best Pokemon characters ever written. But how does their group dynamic hold up to Team MZ? In short, not very well. Despite each individual character in the Zero Squad being very well written, their group dynamic is almost non-existent. None of the characters even know each other on an acquaintances basis until the way home, which is the final chapter in the story. In comparison, Team MZ are far more familiar with each other, and we can see that they've been friends for a solid while, even at the start of the game, through their interactions with and actions towards each other. So, in conclusion, Team MZ, despite many of the members of the Pokemon fanbase disliking them, are some of the best written individual rivals in the series, and even better as a group. They tower over the other groups, such as XY's Friend Group and Scarlet Violet's Zero Squad, surpass some of the best written rivals, such as Hop, and even stand up to the likes of N. The team feels alive, developing and growing throughout the course of the game, making it feel like a real group of friends. People come and they go, and that's reflected perfectly through Team MZ's growth. And, I mean, look at them all, in Ansha's drawing. It's just so cute. They're all friends, it's great. So, I would like to... I just made this video to finally put up a defense of my goats. They are some of the best rivals ever written, without a doubt. And I think it's stupid that people are hating on them for mistakes they made, which serve to deepen and develop their characters. And also, they're just so cute together. Come on, dude.